All right. Find somebody who knows somebody to tell somebody about what we've got going on over here. If you like it, let me know, share it if you do, and subscribe if this is what you're looking for. All right, welcome to a value conversation, Gen X spoken word. So I was going to knock off here, but because of the nonsense, now I got to come back out and take care of this mess. So Jake, as it says right here, I blame you for this shit. Whew, all right. So just to make it known here, I do not hate Jake. I think I said that during the course of the podcast that we were discussing the ideology subterfuge that Russia was perpetrating against the United States over the course of 40 some odd years. Not to rehash that, but during the course of that particular live stream, Jake popped up and we got on the subject of eggs. I have no idea where that came from, but nonetheless, we got into it about whether or not prices were accurate, whether the costs were dropping, and one thing led to another. And so before I go ahead and call it a night, I thought I'd go ahead and address this and clarify a few things, all right? So let's do that. So just one more time, I want to put in here, Jake, I blame you for this shit. All right, fair use, fair use. So, where shall we go? To the Google, they say, right? So, kicking this off. So, Jake says, I'm the only one watching you. Actually, no. You're the only one, maybe with somebody else, who is commenting in the chat section. I've always got people watching me, kid. So keep that in mind next time you comment. All right, so we see that the statement is eggs have gone down in prices since Biden. Now, the question you need to ask here is, when you're talking about gone down, are we looking at the prices of where they were when he was in the office or where they've gone up to? But either way, I'm going to concede this part and just simply say that the price that we were paying when Biden was in office, I'll show you in a minute. Yes, they have gone down, but not to the rate that you were claiming they were. So I'll go ahead and take the statement out right now where I said that the prices of eggs hadn't gone down. What I should have said is that the prices of eggs hadn't gone down to the price that you were stating, which was the national average of eggs being $4.15. Eggs do not cost that much. That's more or less what I was reiterating, but I wasn't clear enough. So I will take the loss on that. So from that statement, I will say that I was wrong in the cost of eggs per what we were talking about as far as egg prices coming down. I knew that the prices were not the same as they were before. However, I knew also that the prices were not what you were saying they were, which is $4.15. The egg prices, as far as I knew, had gone up. And at the time, I was not looking at them as having come down. So again, I'll take the bite on that. I was wrong about the cost of the eggs coming down, or at least the cost, or the price of the eggs at the time. I was wrong about the cost regarding them coming down. But let's go ahead and clarify this. So again, just to make sure we're clear here, Jake, you were saying that the cost of eggs had come down. So I'll take the bite on that. I wasn't aware that they'd come down to a particular point that they are, but I know where they are not. Eggs, as far as the national average goes, are not $4.15. So that's what you're saying, Jake. So let's be clear about that. You said that eggs, as far as the national average of eggs are right now, are $4.15. Stay with it. I've got the print right here. Your words. So I typed in, what is the national average of eggs right now? As of March 28th, 2025, the national average for a price The national average price for a dozen large eggs is $5.90. So that makes you wrong, Jake, if you're watching this. Anybody else? It makes Jake wrong. I don't know where he got $4.15 from, but I'm going to guess that it may have been a price that wholesalers or retailers have, but they don't pass that price over to the consumers. That's my speculation, but I'm not going to stay on that too long. I just know, based upon Jake claiming that the national average for eggs was $4.15, was $4.15 is inaccurate. It is not. So one more time. As of the 28th of March, 2025, the national average price for a dozen large eggs is around $5.90. All right, so done with that part. All right, so next, when Biden left office, it was $4.95. Now, just for measure here, he said, and when Trump left office the first time, it was $1.45. You claimed eggs haven't dropped. They have. Stop lying, John. So first off, I never got into a discussion, or at least I didn't realize I was discussing Trump, but I'm not even going to address that because Trump is not what the conversation was focused around, much less the cost of eggs when he left office. So as I said, I will gladly take the bite. I was wrong about the prices of eggs dropping. Now, as far as the price of eggs dropping to that point, again, I was not agreeing that eggs had dropped that far down. Nonetheless, we'll go back to what we're dealing with right now. When Biden left office, it was $4.95. That's what Jake is telling everybody. So I want to give you this answer here in two parts. But first, before we do that, let's do this because there's an answer right here. On Monday, by the way, this article is from the 17th of March. So this article, again, is per that particular timestamp. One more time, 17 March, 2025. On Monday, the White House drew attention to a significant drop in egg prices across the United States, as reported by the USDA Daily National Shell Egg Index report. Data from the report, dated March 17, 2025, indicates that the cost of a dozen large white eggs, the most commonly purchased variety in the country, has fallen to $3.45. All right, break. Stop right there. I want to say that I have a sound effect for that. Oh, yeah, I do. I don't know if you heard that or not, but again, $3.45 being the cost of eggs. Now ask yourself, when is the last time somebody paid $3.45 for eggs? Well, you know what? Nobody is doing that in 2025. So let's ask the question. When was the last time eggs cost $3.45 for the consumer? The last time eggs cost $3.45 per dozen for consumers was around late October 2024, before a recent surge in prices due to supply chain issues and bird flu outbreaks. So I just want to make clear to everyone watching, and again, Jake, if you happen to catch this, nobody is paying $3.45 for eggs because that is not a cost that retailers are passing over to consumers. But there's more. Now, just to make something clear here, wholesale egg prices have recently plummeted, reaching $3.45 per dozen, a significant decrease from their peak of $8.17 per dozen in early March 2025. Now, if you recall, I had made a statement, or at least I had put in, let me bring this over here. Where's my, here you go. So I made the statement that eggs were $8.03. Now, this was the last time I checked, but here's also my input. The average egg price is now $8.03 per dozen, up from the previous price of $7.74 a dozen, reported in USDA's Egg Markets Overview as of February 14th. Valentine's. So as I said, I will own being wrong on that, because the price at the time I was clocking was around $8.03, but that was the 22nd of February, where eggs were up to around $8 or so. Now, unbeknownst to me, because I hadn't checked since then, egg prices, as it was stating here in the last fact, egg prices had gone up to $8.17 per dozen in early March 2025. But here's what I want to get people to understand here. While wholesale prices have dropped, retail prices may still be elevated as retailers adjust their inventory. Going back to what I was saying, which was simply, which was simply the fact that eggs, as we know it, right? Eggs, as we are looking at this, the cost of $3.45 was not going to be something that was shared. I don't know how I got this on the screen here. Excuse me. But the cost of eggs was not going to be $3.45, something that the consumers would be able to pay for eggs. No, that was not the cost, because as you saw, it said that the retailers would ensure that there would be an adjustment. So let's be clear about that, all right? So going back here, this makes a sharp, pardon me folks, I don't know if you see this on my screen right now, but it's bugging the hell out of me. Here we go. This marks a sharp decrease from $6.55 per dozen recorded on January 21st, 2025, representing a nearly 50% reduction in price. Now, again, as I stated before, nobody is paying $3.45 for eggs. And we just saw that where it stated that the last time anyone paid $3.45 for eggs was October 2024. So again, we must be looking at the cost up here of what it is for the retailer, who then makes adjustments and then sells to the consumer. But to go back to the statement that Jake was making, and I hope you're watching, Jake, when Biden left office, it was $4.95. Again, which is what he was saying, what the cost of eggs were. So how am I lying? Well, it was a two-part question, so I was wrong about the cost of eggs dropping. But again, I was not wrong about the cost dropping to $4.15. But at the same time, I'm not wrong about the cost of eggs being $4.95 when Biden left, because we can clearly see here that when he left office one day prior, I'm sure the price did not drop that much. So it's safe to assume that the cost of eggs was still around $6.55. Again, Jake, let's keep going. So then the final thing we ended up having a discussion about, I don't need the egg conversation anymore. The final thing we ended up discussing was whether or not Kamala Harris was black. Yeah, I said that in another comment. I don't know where, I wasn't really paying attention to, but Kamala has white, black, and Indian in her bloodline. But the left narrative is that she's black, and the right said she's not black, she's mixed. The right wing, right. So basically saying that the right wing is right, that she's not black. Okay. So how do I put this? Oh, I know. You're wrong again, Jake, because now you're trying to play semantics with her identity. And she clarified her identity. If I'm 55, she's so about 60 something years ago, or at least her identity was clarified for her, being she was born in 1964. So clearly, all right. clearly the woman knows what race she is and what she identifies as. I think she's 61 years old by now. So at 61 years of age, she's been black for that long. The fact that you want to call her mixed doesn't change the identity that she has had for all of her life. But here, there's more. Now, Reuters is a center news organization. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and prove that here, because no doubt you want to say, oh, you're getting your information from left-wing rags, left opinion polls. No. Let's do this, Jake. Reuters.com. And I'm just going to go ahead and just put ground news in here because it's going to do a look at the 3 top fact checkers: Media Bias Fact Check, All Sides Media, and Ad Fontes Media. So here's ground news from Reuters. And clearly you can see that this is a center news organization. So we can't bother having this conversation of, oh, you're choosing left wing. Nope. I chose a center-based fact checker who is recognized as being a fact checker under the International Fact Checking Network. So it means that they're legit. So we don't have to have this argument. Yeah. All right. So going back to this. Fact check: Kamala Harris has long identified as black, contrary to Trump claim. So let's look this up. Here we go. At the National Association of Black Journalists convention in Chicago on July 31st, Trump said she was always of Indian heritage and she was only promoting the Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? He continued, but you know what? I respect either one. But she obviously doesn't. And what does that even mean when she obviously doesn't? Let's just keep going. But she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person. Contrary to Trump's statements, however, Harris has long publicly identified as both black and South Asian American. Kamala Harris was born to an Indian mother and a black Jamaican father, both immigrants to the United States. The U.S. Census includes people of Jamaican heritage among racial groups considered to be black. So there were even black people going about saying that Kamala Harris wasn't black and that Jamaican was not considered to be a nationality, or Caribbean was not a nationality, all this type of nonsense. Fully on that. So as you can see here, she has always been black. She's identified as black. But let's go a little bit further. Her White House biography says she is the first woman, the first black American, and the first South Asian American to be elected vice president. That is true on all fronts. In a 2016 feature for the New York Times Magazine, Harris talked about her mother's choice of community for her and her younger sister Maya after her parents divorced, and referred to herself as a black person. She had 2 black babies and she raised them to be 2 black women. So Candace Owens claiming that Kamala Harris wasn't black is not true. Even if you want to call Kamala mixed, you have to have a certain amount of genetic material to pour into to make half of something mixed, which means she's not full Indian, she's not full black. Yes, she is mixed, but you had to have genetic material to create one side of this, which means that yes, she is still black, although she's also mixed, and she is Indian. So she is not just mixed. Is she mixed? Yes, but she is not just that. So the fact that people, including Jake right here, want to label her as being mixed and saying, oh, the right was right, she's not black, is wrong. Full stop. But you know me, gotta have more facts here. We can't just corroborate everything with just one side of the house. And we have also here from CBS News. Falsehoods about Kamala Harris' citizenship status, racial identity, resurface online as she becomes likely Democratic nominee. And this goes back to the 23rd of 2024. 23 July 2024. But before we do anything, let's just go ahead and I'll give this one to you, Jake. Let's just see what Ground News has to say about CBS News. Oops. All right, so we can see that CBS News is considered lean left. Now, the reason being the tiebreaker, if we were to look at media bias and then Ad Fontes or lean left from all sides in Ad Fontes, we can see that Ad Fontes considers CBS to be center, whereas all sides of media bias look at it as being lean left, which means it is slightly left-leaning. Now, slightly left-leaning does not mean completely favoring the left. It just has a tendency to sometimes consider the left. Now, if we want to look further into that, I'll just go ahead and click on the link. And you can see how it is rated. Now, notice there's high confidence in this rating of 150 towards lean left. Now, if you were slammed all the way out at full left, or we'll say just hard left or strong left, it would be a 6. But in this instance, we do not see that. Now, if we go ahead and take a look at media bias as well, it also has a rating of left, center, or this would be lean left. We were looking at all sides, but nonetheless, left center, meaning not full left and not extreme left, but left leaning to a degree. And we also see that we have a factual reporting of high. And the main thing that you want to see on media bias's site is that high credibility rating. So we are all good here, Jake, just to let you know, even though it's not lean right or right or even center, but we're still okay because of the factuality of how the level of credibility is seen of the sites. Getting back into it. So we can see here a little bit of the discussion about when Biden dropped out, and we can see some of the falsehoods that were claimed about Harris's heritage. False claims that Harris's foreign-born parents make her ineligible to run. Shortly after the president's endorsement, a false narrative claiming the fact Harris's parents were not born in the U.S. makes her ineligible to hold office recirculated on social media. Posts pushing the claims received millions of views. Harris was born in Oakland, California, to Jamaican and Indian immigrants. The fact that her parents are immigrants does not disqualify her from serving as vice president, which, had it been a case, she never would have been able to make the run. False claims about Harris's citizenship were a flashpoint last time she was on the ticket. Some have used an op-ed written by pro-Trump lawyer John Eastman, who was part of the insurrection of 6 January 2021, and published in Newsweek in 2020 to promote the argument that the Constitution does not grant citizenship to children of people born outside of the United States. An editor's note later appended to the opinion states, all of us at Newsweek are horrified that this op-ed gave rise to a wave of vile birtherism directed at Senator Harris. As always with certain aspects of the conservative party. If you cannot disprove it, you disavow it. And if you don't have any facts, make them up. So we now get into the parts where we talk about Harris's race and them making the statement that she wasn't black. When asked on a radio show in 2019 about the false claims about her race, Harris said that these are people trying to sow hate and division among us. I'm black and I'm proud of being black, she said. I was born black, I will die black, and I'm not going to make excuses for anybody because they don't understand. Hell, you know what? We'll just go ahead and stop right there. But again, if anybody wants to go ahead and look for this article on their own, here it is, CBS News. All right, so I think we can go ahead and land the plane, get off it, get our baggage, and go home right from here. So just to close everything out here, both Jake and I were wrong about I'll put it this way. He was wrong about the price of eggs. You know what? I'll own it. I was wrong about the price of eggs at the time that I predicted it, or not even predicted, but I stated, not realizing that they had dropped to a certain point, definitely not below $5 or even down to $4.15. But again, we were both wrong when it comes to that. We'll just both own that. So as I said before, if I'm wrong, I'll correct, which I have done right now. There's correction. So there's my piece in that. I was wrong initially about the price of eggs after having dropped. Yes, they dropped, but not to the levels that I was thinking, which was definitely under $8, which I was wrong about. They are now down to $5.90 for a dozen eggs, and that's the national average. Jake, you said that the national average was $4.15. Incorrect. You also said that the price of eggs when Biden left office was $4.95. You were incorrect again. And then for the third thing, claiming that Harris was mixed, no one had an issue of her being mixed. We know she's mixed. The issue was people saying she was not black, and that was a lie. As she stated, she was born black, she'll die black, and she has identified as black from day one. The fact you trying to mix in here the status of her being mixed is nothing more than semantics, which makes it a disingenuous move. I expected that, but again, I'm not surprised by it. As I said before, man, you know I don't hate you. I just dislike the fact that you have a propensity to not tell the truth and present the facts as they are. But we'll always have more competition and conversation about that. But until then, find somebody who knows somebody to tell somebody about what we've got going on over here. If you like it, let me know. Share it if you do. And subscribe if this is what you're looking for. All right, folks. That's the wrap. Now we are done. Don Henry out.